I'm Scott.
I'm Francis.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Ed.
And this is
The Ascent.
Did you set me up on that?
Honestly, that sounded very cool. Get the Ascent. Cut straight to the interview just like that. But I really appreciate you guys being here with me today. Watch this movie. It was super inspiring. It was super heartbreaking, while at the same time, like, you just wanted to run through a wall by the end of it. Mandy, I gotta say, there's this moment where you get to the top, and before you 100% get to, I think you only have a few feet to go, and you let out this guttural yell, and I was just like, yes, let's go. It just really makes you want to run through a wall with that. But I remember there was a moment right before you got there, and you were told that when you got to the top of the mountain was going to ask, what were you doing there? Mm-hmm. Do you have an idea of what you thought when you first heard that versus what the answer actually was when you got to the top?
I feel like I went in a little bit arrogant, and I thought that getting up the mountain was something to do with personal will, and I learned through this process that it has so much more to do with team, and the people of Africa.
Yeah. They were at your back. They really had your back through that whole thing. Yeah. And I think when we talk, I love talking about movies here, and inherently it's all about collaboration. So it's really cool that a movie that takes so much collaboration to make, you learn that while making it with the people helping you with this very personal endeavor. For the filmmakers, what I really liked about this movie was that the structure of it all, how you jump from her making this journey on this dang near impossible task, this incredible task, but going to the highest of highs, very literally, to jumping back to her lowest of lows, and you keep juxtaposing that back and forth so you know where she came from to where she's going. Can you talk about crafting that structure and why it was so important for this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's important about that is to really just understand where Mandy came from and why she was climbing. Mm-hmm. You know, this was just about her sort of reclaiming her life and processing some trauma and PTSD and really achieving that victory. And so what happened to her was horrific, and there was, a lot of mystery around it, and we wanted to find her answers. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is just cutting back and forth. You can kind of know more and more about her, be more connected to her, and hopefully every time you get back to the mountain, you're rooting for Mandy more and more, which makes that victory all the more satisfying, I think, for the audience. Yeah,
you definitely feel it. And I think that structure helps a lot for the audience. Someone who was unfamiliar with your story, it's just something that, you want to attach yourself to and apply it to everything. So thank you for doing it in that way. I know the subject matter and what happened to you, Mandy, it's a traumatic incident, and it took a lot of healing and willpower just to get through that, not just mentally, but emotionally. But putting it in a documentary, it puts you in a vulnerable spot, right? So what was the mindset of, finally, I need to tell this story and conquer this hurdle of being my most vulnerable self in order for people to know about me more?
I think that through the documentary, the audience really gets to get a clear picture of who I am. And yesterday after the premiere, I felt just so seen by the documentarians and the audience in general. It's been a wild experience, and opening up to them took years. It took years, but for me, if I can help just one person, it would make all the blood, sweat, and tears literally worth it. And that's just the mindset that I have.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of blood, sweat, and tears, I don't think you guys did a great job of capturing it, everyone involved, of capturing exactly. It's not as easy as taking a stroll to the top of Kilimanjaro. There's a lot of preparation for the body that you have to have, right? Your blood pressure is a factor, the way you're breathing is a factor. Working out, you have to be in the best shape in order to do it. Can you talk to me about really making sure that people really understand that? And as you going on the journey with her, we saw you obviously go through that in the training, did you guys also have to prepare yourselves behind the scenes to go on that journey as well?
I'll take a stab at this, right? So before we went, Mandy was already obviously years in the making, very fit. We all had a relatively strong background in fitness, thankfully, and we were lucky we had a good base. But there were some high altitude mountains near California, near Big Bear, so we went over there. we tried to acclimatize there in between other stuff. So we were underprepared. That's the truth.
Yeah, the catch up to Mandy there.
Absolutely. And actually, on the mountain, when you're looking at Mandy, you'll see that every movement she makes is in timing with her breathing, which is crucial. And that's the same as well for us when we're walking. Every step, as it gets higher, as you get closer to an altitude that's called the death zone. Now we're just below that.
Right.
But it's 19,000, I think 341 feet, nearly 6,000 meters. And at that point, even turning over on your side, just as you're sleeping, you'll actually get out of breath. Like one turn in the bed on the last night is a moment where you have to catch your breath. So you're truly at the mercy of the mountain, and your breathing has to be perfect. So your fitness ideally would be perfect, but we were all smoking cigarettes because of the stress. All right, Mandy's a chain smoker even on the mountain, and just because we were under so much pressure, makes it more
impressive, honestly.
We were under so much pressure. We were partaking, so we were working against ourselves. Now, there is a scene where we're going across the saddle. I think it's from Mawenzi, right?
Yeah, Mawenzi.
Up to
Mawenzi. Yeah, Mawenzi. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is, and it's like an eternal long, almost like Moses crossing the sea, basically.
Yeah, the Kilimanjaro is so big that you just keep walking towards it and it doesn't get any closer. Really? It's just this optical illusion. You can see it from pretty much anywhere near Arusha in Tanzania, and it just keeps like calling you, but at the same time, you're not getting any closer. By the time that we got to those switchbacks on the last day, that was
brutal. I turned to Laffrey and I asked him, truly sincere question, how did they tell us to breathe again? Yeah. And I'm down on my knees.
You're like freaking out, like, oh my God, how do I breathe?
And everybody took a turn at just absolutely collapsing, waiting. And the porters are just
so acclimatized. And Laffrey brought our cinematographer. It was an amazing thing that almost killed all of us.
For perspective, the journey's almost 50 miles that the crew and Mandy took, so it's not short, as Ed said, how far it is to get there, to get to the top.
I mean, there's nothing like almost dying to bond you guys together, right? Like,
it's a trauma bond.
It's a trauma bond, and when you guys get closer and better for it.
When you see Mandy on the saddle there, and it keeps cutting back to that scene where she's moving, it just gives you a sense of how long it is, because the whole movie theater has to look at, wait, Mandy's doing this, and we're looking at this for like 30 seconds. Oh, and it's still going. And she did this for 50 miles over multiple days at altitude. So that was kind of to try and put the audience in the experience.
Oh my God, I can only imagine seeing that on the big screen, and that was already like hyperventilating a little bit just watching it on the computer. But it's so crazy because we talked to Leonardo DiCaprio, Alejandro Inarritu, who shot The Revenant together. You know, obviously they went out and shot that, and it was all one take, all natural lighting. And he said something along the lines of, when you're making a documentary, God is a director. When you're making a movie, like a feature, like you try to be the best director you can. And this movie was the bridge between that. And you guys are just literally in the wild fighting against the elements and doing that. So I just see you guys like almost dying, trying to breathe. God's like, ha ha ha. Like, it's just a lot going around for that one. But yeah.
Mandy and Leo in the same boat. I like that. I like that comparison.
It's great. All right, so quick rapid fire. I prepped these two before they came in, and we'll end the interview here. Do you have a movie that changed your brain chemistry, that created the building blocks to who you are? And I would love for anyone to start with those recommendations for the podcast.
My movie is Forrest Gump.
Yep, that's a good one. I was just quoting Forrest Gump the other day, wasn't I?
If I didn't have the character of Lieutenant Dan to look at, like that, he's the reason I tie my pants the way I tie my pants when I wear my pants. Like,
wow.
You know, like just his mindset and his figurative. You know, whenever he's out at sea and Forrest is like, I think he made his peace with God that day.
He's in the water and he's just
that like, for me was my mountain climb. But that movie just it has shaped so much of who I am and how I
Okay. See, we were joking about like adding the Lord of the Rings like score to this movie. Now we get to the end, we're gonna have like Forrest Gump saying, "I think she made her peace with God that day." We got 2 things in there now.
And Mandy was Lieutenant Dan for Halloween one year. The
Really?
pictures that was in the movie quickly,
Okay.
yeah.
The first year after getting out of the hospital,
I
I
didn't clock that. Oh my God, I feel like such a fraud now.
It's a split-second picture. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, I saw you were about to. You had your movie ready.
Oh no, I was just with Lieutenant Dan.
Okay, for sure. I gave you time to think about it, buddy.
Oh yeah, maybe a little cliche, but there's a reason. I like the Gladiator, right?
Yes.
It's a bit mainstream, but it's like underdog against all odds, be not afraid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that mantra that's in all the great books: "Be not afraid," the most repeated.
Yeah.
And then just that he's chasing something bigger than his own glory, but he's not focused on the material world anymore, and that gives him the courage. Because he wants to see his family in the afterlife, to be completely fearless in the real world.
He's no
And I'd
longer
love to be,
mortal.
you'd love to, wouldn't that be great if you could live at that level?
Who doesn't want to be Maximus, man?
Wild. Yeah.
This is a more recent one, Mad Max Fury Road.
Nice.
There's a beautiful line in there that lives rent-free in my head. Where do we go, we who wander the wasteland in search of our better selves? And I just feel that is just something that gets us through, where it's like, okay, this is a big, wide, scary world sometimes, and yes, we have to look after our own self-interest, but we're all here to try and make a difference and try and leave the world a better place than how we found it.
Shout out to Mad Max Fury Road. That's a great one, man. All right. Final one.
This hasn't rewired me in terms of inspiration like these others. These are all amazing movies, but in terms of just career path or just life path, Reservoir Dogs, which I saw dating myself because before Pulp Fiction came out, somehow found it at the video store. I had no idea what it was and snuck it past my parents. Had to wait till 2 a.m. to watch it because it was R-rated and I was 9 or 10 years old.
Watching in secret.
And just seeing that sort of blew me away. The different angle of storytelling, just everything about that movie. I didn't know these kind of things could be done in films. And this, again, before Pulp Fiction and Tarantino became who he was. So it was game-changing at that point in the 90s. And basically gave me the bug to end up where I am today in the film business.
You and I are right here because Quentin Tarantino's my favorite director. Got the box set and watched that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
And I think my favorite of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time is Kill Bill 1.
Of course. Yeah.
It's just
of course.
nonstop.
Watch One Piece Season 2, the live action on Netflix. McKinney, who plays Zorro, his father was Hattori Hanzo in Kill Bill. And they have a whole scene that's very much like the fight with the Crazy 88 in that. So I watched Season 2, One Piece on Netflix, Episode 3.
Okay, gotta check
That's
that out.
something for you to watch.
What about you? What's the movie that rewired your brain?
For me, it's a bunch of movies, but I always go back to Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 does it for me. Made me learn what responsibility was from a superhero that I thought I knew intrinsically. I only watched them in cartoons and comic books and TV shows, but that was the first time as a 12-year-old where I understood you have to sacrifice in order to do the right thing. And that just broke my young brain. And I was like, this is how I'm going to operate in the world now. And it was that Spider-Man movie that did it for me.
Nice.
Amazing.
All right, well, guys, this was awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me about your film, your favorite films, and this has just been a great conversation. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, everyone. Really
Thanks,
appreciate you.
Lauren Noll.
Hey, I'm Dalia Rooni. This is
same but different,
and
we're on Get Wrecked with
Straw
Straw
Goofy.
What? So fast.
Now,
All right.
watched this film yesterday, was laughing my ass off. It was so funny, especially with you, Dalia. Like,
Thank you.
We have to talk about this. There is a scene where you pee in a very peculiar manner. And for us nerds like me, fun fact, my name is based off of an anime character named Straw Hat Luffy. So Straw Hat Goofy, that's it. So whenever I see things, I see it in anime. So when I saw you peeing, it sounds a weird thing to say. I saw you peeing and I went, That's a Death Note reference. I don't know if you guys have seen it or heard of Death Note at all.
I'm so sorry to tell you that it is
You'll
not a
have to
Death Note reference.
Yeah, you'll have to fill us in.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'm going to let you know this. I already did, but I will be creating a meme where it's a side-by-side of you and this character. So Death Note is an anime that's basically a horror mystery detective caper, almost like neo-noir as well. And it's about this guy who finds this note that falls out of the sky. He finds out that when he writes someone's name in the note, they just die out of nowhere. Then he figures out he can like
Death
control
Note.
the way they die, what
Death
time
Note.
they die, and he decides to become a vigilante to wipe the earth of all the bad people.
Hell yeah.
As you can tell, that becomes a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And he gets his match is this detective named L, who's starting to catch on to him and figure out everything. But L is very peculiar, and one of his defining traits is when he sits. I'm sorry, I'm gonna do this. We're doing this live, guys.
We gotta do
Whenever
it.
he sits down, he sits like this.
Ah.
And he eats food and he's like figuring out everything. It's like watching a beautiful mind. But like this. So I'm gonna do the rest of the interview just like this.
Good luck. It's hard on your
Amazing.
ankles.
It's already hard on my knees.
Sitting there and doing that with Lauren being like, can we go again? Can we go again?
I am not Megan Thee Stallion. I'm sorry. Sorry to report.
No. Listen, so it's so funny what people think that that's in reference to. Like someone else thought it was in reference to like sometimes in the Middle East or I think just in the East, there are toilets on the floor.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you like squat down like that to use the toilet. So they were like, oh, this is a reference to like Iranian toilets that are like in the floor. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it is a reference to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
My friend texted me and was like, "Do Persian women just pee like that?"
Oh, no.
And she's like,
You're starting
she was
stereotypes.
Like, is it a cultural thing or
Oh, no.
or is it? And then I can't remember what her other thought was. Like I can't remember what she thought it was, but she was just trying to figure out. She thought it was hilarious.
Damn,
And then
I'm the
No,
misrepresentation
I
now.
was just like, no, it's just a Nadia thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have a cousin who he like cannot use the toilet without squatting on it.
Really?
Like just his bow. Like he won't do.
Well, we're talking about not peeing.
Well, yeah, no, we're talking
Sorry
about
to
the
go
other
there.
one.
Sorry to go there.
And so that's who it's inspired
okay.
by.
Okay,
He like is
got
all
it.
constantly squatting on toilets.
Okay.
And when he was a kid, he was so embarrassed to like at school to not have his feet show from the floor, like in the school toilets. So he would take his pants off and hold them.
Yeah.
So
Oh
it
my
looked like he
God.
was.
Did he set his shoes down on the floor as
did.
well? He took
He
them
did.
off. He's on his
Yes,
socks,
he
pantsless.
He had a whole
I-
ritual.
He had
Oh,
a
wow.
whole ritual. He's a cool kid. I like him a lot.
Honestly, the
I
coolest
love that
kids have
guy.
those strange type of rituals,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what makes them cool.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
talking about this movie, there's so much I loved about it. There's this line that I want to read to you guys, or like a very bad writing of the line, but it had to do with like the umbilical cord being around the neck, but also being a source of nourishment. And I found that was the like core of the film
Oh my
of
God.
being so attached to your culture while also like trying to make something new of yourself and liking what you become, but still being so tight.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about kind of like that dichotomy and how to reconcile that while making that movie and having people understand it who don't understand
Totally.
it?
First of all, like thank you for picking out that line because like that's I love you.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a good line. It's great.
Yeah, like this girl she's fed by her that's her home, that's her nourishment, that is her like life force. But the state of Iran at the time that the film is set in, you know, she talks about it being a noose around her neck and
Right.
and like though it feeds her, it's also what's killing her.
Yeah.
I don't remember your question because I'm like, hi, you like
You
my
like the
line.
line. I'm a copywriter. When people like my lines, I just go, yes. I like. No, but basically my question is like, I don't think a lot of people would understand the dichotomy of like loving where you come from, but also wanting to separate yourself from it just enough to where you don't lose it, but it's still a part of you. So like, I can imagine like writing something like that. It was such a quick shot to the brain to make me go, I've never heard of it like that. So when it comes to like the entirety of the movie, like that's the idea, like, was there like some hesitation of, I don't know if people are gonna get what we're talking about here, or was it just like a leap of faith?
In the script phase, I think like comedy has this like really cool way and this is what I love about comedy, is that there is a bunch of hidden messaging through this film, and that's like the deeper meaning that you were able to like pull from it, which is amazing and like so cool. But like some people might just watch it for like for it being like a fun comedy and like not see any of that, which I think is kind of cool, right? Like you can pick your own adventure.
But I mean, the comedy does that. But in terms of this line specifically, I've had a lot of people talk to me about feeling like that explained exactly how they feel, and it just like gave them this like they felt seen, you know, by that line. It's an incredible line that Dalia wrote, and what's interesting to me about it too is Adam, you know, the like, you know, white boy from Massachusetts, like they're, you know, trying to connect with her. All he ever heard from her and from reading that's her poem, right? That's Rana's poem. From reading those words was the disparagement. He didn't hear the love, you know, and in that moment she gets to explain it to him, and this is somebody who may or may not become her partner, or at least for some time, and that's a moment that he starts to see her as well, you know, inside of that relationship, when we're talking about bridging gaps and being able to see, you know, each other for your differences but also your similarities, and the cross-cultural, you know, relationship part of it.
I love that. Now can we talk about I want to get into your relationship, because you seem very close from what I gather right here. I don't know I don't know how long you two have been working together, how long you have been friends, but I'm curious, as like this is such a pointed cultural understanding of like these characters, and I don't know what your cultural background is, Lauren, but I understand you grew up in Tennessee, right, in the United States, right? And so I wonder like what attracted you to this story specifically and said, yes, I want to be a part of the director of this.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, Dalia and I met as personal trainers at an Equinox in Hollywood.
This makes sense.
So we were working together in a totally different capacity, and we were just like goof offs at that gym. But also,
I was very professional.
No, we were the fun ones.
I was very good at my job.
We were both
nothing like your character
we
at
were
all.
both very good at our jobs, in so much that we had like a full roster of clients. We were there at 5:30 a.m. and then we would like leave to go like get a draft in our little break in the middle, or like run to an audition,
do a full
or like
makeup and clothing change, run to an audition, come back, change back into fitness gear.
And so we just watched each other both tackling like keeping that full load of at this like job, and also making our first short films and like getting our stuff done, and you know, and we were like, oh, like, are you like me? And so we were already really good friends just from the coworker relationship. Fun fact, Michael Baszler, who plays Rijen in the movie and who is Dalia's husband, also worked with us at the time.
Equinox Hollywood is just like, I owe
when
them
they
my
were
career.
just
basically
when they were just friends, I knew them, so I saw the Nadia Rijen genesis in real time.
Totally.
Wow.
But so as far as like Lauren being the director of this, like we knew that we wanted to make a feature together. So it was about finding like the right feature. And she knew a lot of the people that the story was inspired by. She kind of watched mine and my now husband's relationship unfold. So when I pitched her this story, like it was over a coffee, she was like, that's the one. So it's kind of something that we crafted together. And there was no one else to really direct it.
And I don't want to veer away from the other part of your question. Sorry, I went off on the gym tangent.
I love tangents. That's why podcasts exist.
I love it. But no, I mean, yes, I grew up in Tennessee. I grew up Mormon in Tennessee, which is kind of a thing that doesn't fit, you know. And then I moved to Utah to go to college at BYU. And that's where I discovered I'm gay, and then that didn't fit. So I had this like little seed of understanding of having these two pieces of you that don't merge together, that you're sort of fighting that internal battle with. And, you know, that's what I use to connect to these characters, aside from obviously leaning on our team, you know, the actresses and their own lived experiences. And then we had, you know, of course, Arash, our cultural and language advisor. He worked with Dalia to translate all of the lines that are in Persian, and then also, you know, help each of the actresses and me understand, like, you know, what is your context for having left Iran, 4 years ago to come to school versus like 10 or 15 years ago when you were a teenager to come live with your family in Chicago and get into school here versus Nadia, who's first gen, and that was important to you to write those women with different degrees of connection to their home. So we brought a team in to work with us, and then I also found that little personal seed that I could use to sort of understand.
Also, Lauren was dating a Persian woman when we met.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. So I was
That's
like,
the way in.
I'm not gonna say that.
I was like, she was well trained in dealing with Middle Eastern women. She knows how to put up with my ass.
What the
no,
men
in terms
dealt
of
with in the movie, that's what you dealt with. You're like, yep, we all dealt with this at the same time.
She got that bit.
I adore the Persian culture. I really do. Like during those years that I was in that relationship, and we can leave it at that. I just
Whole different
I
podcast.
ate the best food of my life, and we shared stories from our youth that were very different from each other's, and just would laugh into the night. I mean, it was. Yeah, but I did have an access point, yes, to understanding like the mixed cultural
That's incredible.
relationships. Yeah,
And I feel like this movie will be a lot of people's access point in learning about these type of things, right? Totally. And a lot of my favorite things, especially like coming from a black man who loves black cinema, like obviously Sinners, won some awards last night.
Yes.
That's why my voice sounds like this. I was yelling for Michael B. Jordan.
Oh my God!
Legitimately.
Sorry, I just swore. I don't know.
No, you can swear.
Okay,
it's
okay,
fine.
got it.
It's not that type of podcast.
Okay, good.
He's like, please swear.
Please
Dude,
say
I was
fuck,
just-
please. But like I like whenever I see something from my point of view, and I can get to teach people about like, oh yeah, that's something that we actually do and those type of things. And I like learning about that from movies such as this.
Totally.
But I'm wondering, was there like a board of things you wanted to highlight of like, these are the things in our culture that we want to teach people about, or here's some things that we can't do that you wish made it into the film?
Yeah, listen, there's so many things, and like this film could have like very easily gone into like a My Big Fat Greek Wedding kind of plays where there was like more like Persian accents and goofy characters and the family members, and I did kind of go back and forth on like, is this that Persian or am I making this a little more accessible and commercial and and I think we went the second route. So the things that I wanted to keep in there were the Taruf scene. Did you see that scene where they're fighting over the cheese?
Yes, and they're like, the guys are just like, don't.
Yeah,
They're gonna do this for a while, and it's just gonna end up in the trash. Like I love that. I was like, kind of like it was cool to feel out of the loop of that because I was like, what's going on here?
You're like in the position of the guys in that scene. Then
Exactly.
Like, what's going on?
And you've done such a good job as the director with like, there's a couple times in the film where the audience is left out of the loop and we're just like, you deal with it because if people are speaking another language around you, like that's how life is.
Exactly.
No,
exactly.
But yeah, that scene is like one of my favorites because that really is how it is.
Yeah.
And to give these white boys some credit, like
They knew.
they
Like,
know. Like my husband will straight up be like, no, Taro, like we have to Taro.
Yeah.
Like he knows now.
Yeah.
I love when characters show that confidence.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, bro, we got this.
No,
like,
you can't do
this
that.
is what's
and you need to know too.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was like the moment that the boys come together for the first time.
That part,
So.
yeah.
The amount of times I sat at a table while a fight over the bill occurred, the politeness dance, like, or the last piece of whatever. Yeah.
I think that's
and
the moment.
like you can't touch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the moment where not even 5 seconds later, where the character who's so hard at like making friends goes, so who got drunk as fuck last night?
Yeah.
And that's when everyone's like really happy. I really like those type of things.
Yeah.
Now, final question of the pod. It's a big one.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been prepped yet, but the reason why the show is called Get Wrecked is that I like to ask my guests, what's a movie that you could recommend that changed your brain chemistry? Doesn't have to be one. Doesn't have to be two. Could be anything.
Yeah, because there's so many.
But do you want the like real one that changed my brain chemistry?
Somebody
or do
said
you want
Shrek
the, like,
and Secret Life of Pets.
I love her answer to this.
How do you know it's gonna be that? It was gonna be a different one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's see.
We can see if you're right.
Well, now I want it to be a different one. Bend It Like Beckham.
There it is.
Yeah.
Bend It Like Beckham. It's multicultural. It's funny. It's cute. It's sexy. There's sports involved. Beckham's in there. I mean, it's all there.
I can literally see that movie influencing you so much.
Totally.
Now I know how you ended up as a personal trainer. Now I can see that.
Totally, but also like this like multicultural comedy that's
Yeah.
totally.
It makes
It's just right up my alley.
so much sense. I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so more recently, Past Lives. Celine Song, I'm such a fan of her and her work, and that film was just what a delicate and like, it didn't take itself too seriously, you know what I mean? Just like showing us a slice of life of this woman encountering like a piece of her past and like reckoning with it. I thought that was so beautiful, and I think we all have something from our past, you know, that if it showed up in our lives again would just sort of, you know, send us back and make us ask questions. And I thought that was beautiful. And prior to that, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yeah, what I'd say my favorite film of all time.
The glasses came
and
off.
I'll like, honestly, like I'd probably
came off.
I will have to try to not cry to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it just, the way that they, even in that like dreamscape theatrical way, like showed how it feels to like be afraid of losing your memories of someone when you have to let them go. Yeah. And you're like, but the memories will, you know what I mean?
The good
like,
and the bad.
I felt that in so many times when I've, you know, had an end of a relationship or a, you know, whatever, and you're like, wait, but there's these pieces I want to hold on to and they're going to get away from me. And like they just, the way they're chasing them, I thought it was just such a visceral and incredible way to explore something that's so human. And that movie has stuck with me for my whole life.
I think that might be, in my opinion, the greatest script ever constructed.
Oh,
like
wow.
that movie. That's why when you said it, I was like,
yeah,
you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Because the first time I saw that movie, that's one of my brain chemistry changing movies as well.
Yeah.
Because I never saw a film deconstruct the mind like that through emotion and memory. And the scene where he's like in the covers and he's saying like, I don't want to forget this moment. And it's like you went, when he saw her and he hated the fact that he was in a relationship with her and said, I want to just get rid of it all, and then revisited even the good memories. He said, even if it was all bad, I want to hold on to this one. Like, that's what's worth it. And then that ending is just one of those endings that just wrecks you, like 100%.
Yeah. I made Layla Mohammadi, who plays Set, I made her watch that before she filmed her scene with Pat.
Really?
The kind of moment that they realize they have to let go of each other. It was like there's this piece of you, though, that is afraid of this part of it when you say these words.
See, now I'm like understanding you a lot more, especially with your previous pick, because those always have to do with like past lives, forgetting, like memory and those type of things. So I'm learning about you. This is a therapy session.
Me.
No, and she's also like a super, super like actor's director, you know, and she has like a crazy background in acting from Harvard. No, she does. And that makes it just like such like that's another reason why she was the director for this film, because there's so much about these girls that needed to be unpacked, and there's so many tiny little intricacies between these relationships, and only a director who's like truly an actor's director, I think, could have like pulled that off.
I think she pulled it off.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say.
Thank you.
Girls, thank you so much for talking to me about this
much.
movie. This is such a pleasure. My gosh,
I had so much fun.
Of course.
Hi, I'm Haley Loren.
Hi, I'm Tynas Seaux.
I'm John Valley.
Hi, I'm Richard C. Jones.
I'm Kelsey Pribilski. This is American Dollhouse on Get Wrecked with Straw Hat and Goofy.
Please watch American Dollhouse. And I'm talking to the directors and the wonderful cast of the movie. Thank you so much for coming on Get Wrecked to discuss this. I'm really excited to get into it with you guys today.
Thank you.
How's your South by going so far?
It's fast and furious, but I think we're all having a lot of fun.
Did you have your premiere yet?
Yeah, we premiered on Saturday night. It was part of the Midnighter section.
Okay.
Sold out crowd, very, very active and boisterous. It was quite a event.
Okay, so I've been saying this quite a bit because I feel like there's so many films here at South by, and I say that you got a good movie on your hands when you have black people react to it and talk to the screen. And I was reacting and talking to the screen a lot. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a scene on the roof where I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, what is going on here? But also, like, I feel like this film balances like these crazy and insane moments and insane characters, but it's very pristinely shot. The way it is shot is so beautiful. Like, a lot of these moments, I wanted to get a painting and put it on the wall. Can you talk to me about like the choice of making it shot in this way?
Well, I mean, all credit really has to go to our cinematographer, Taylor Camero. He's truly a wizard with this stuff, but the actual like technical choices were about trying to make the image look like a medium format camera, because the photography and photographs of the past are such a huge part of the plot. And so even with the blocking, you know, there would be moments where it's all about kind of getting the actors into a set spot, and then we would just let the camera hang like you're looking at a moving photograph. It's
very Wes Anderson-esque, especially
cool.
one of those like the first scene, walking, and then like it stands in front of the dollhouse. I was like, this format looks really great because it literally looks like your dolls in front of a dollhouse, which was really cool.
Exactly.
But yeah, please continue. I interrupted.
No. You're absolutely right. It's that kind of idea, because the framing device of the movie is kind of going inside of a dollhouse, and so these characters are almost like action figures inside of this world. But also because it's so actor forward and very much about the performances, our ethos with the camera was just to stay on the performances and not feel too beholden to insert shots or you know, prescribing what the audience is really supposed to be looking at with props or, you know, anything outside of the experience of the people. We just really wanted to ground it with the actors and have the movie kind of live or die with that.
Right. Now I want to bring this to Halley, because your character brings a weight on her shoulders from frame one, right? Like the way you push your brother out of the way, it's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I'm like, you're so mean, but then you start to get to know your character a little bit, and you realize there's a lot of trauma there. There's a lot of like repressed memory there. Can you talk to me about like crafting these like character choices that fill in the backstory just off of like the first like visual of you?
Yeah, definitely. So when I read the script, it became very clear to me that Sarah, you know, has significant trauma that stems from a moment in her childhood. And I like to prescribe my characters if I can, so I can start with a technical base. And after doing research, I kind of distilled down it from my perspective. I thought that she had CPTSD.
Right.
And I went to John and I asked if I could diagnose her, and he was like, absolutely, like, she's yours. And so I dove into CPTSD, researching it, like finding out what different symptoms are, how they manifest, what kind of coping mechanisms people use, how you push those things away. And so I was able to create and craft Sarah with that in mind, and then layer her triggers into the script, and kind of craft her memories so that, you know, in those quiet moments when nothing's being said, there's a lot going on internally. So she's kind of always moving through something, you know, traumatic, whether she's talking about it or not.
Yeah, and what I found about this is that there's character, specifically your brother, who wants to give you like sympathy and the benefit of the doubt, but obviously, like, you know, you have like these hang-ups, like you drank. I get the impression that like your character did drugs as well, so there's a lot. Like, you know, it's like, you know, you're like, are you fucked up? He just goes, are you fucked up? Are you fucked up? I can't believe you. I'm just like,
no way.
Just believe her, dude. Like, maybe she did a little marijuana, but like when things are hitting the fan, like, especially like the way you play these things, this desperation to be believed, right? It's like the girl who cried wolf, and like you just want, as an audience, I wanted to have all this sympathy for you. But again, like the way you push people away, I can understand why someone wouldn't want to believe that.
Yeah, for sure. And like not being believed is very much part of like the root to her trauma, and especially when it comes to her brother and the people that she loves, like, you know, she wants to be taken seriously and she wants to be believed, but nobody does. And I think that contributes to her anger, and she's kind of like, fine, fuck it. If you don't want to believe me, get the fuck out of my house. And you know, like, I'm going to push you away because that's the only thing I know how to do, even though that's not what she wants.
Exactly. And now I got to bring it to Tynus as the brother who you walk a fine line, man, because you can be that character that the audience just immediately hates because you don't believe her. And it's like, bro, like, that's your sister, like, lock in, right? And but talk to me about carrying this sympathy, this underlying sympathy of wanting to help, while also being the guy who's like, hey, like, you're kind of crazy. At one point, you do call it crazy, and I was like, I was like,
well, you know, I think when it comes to the way it was written, and it's like, this is not the first fight. This is like number 100, and I have experience with especially with siblings. It's like we all went through the same thing, right? We all like I went through it too.
Yeah.
And here I am, and like here you are, and just the constantly always trouble and turmoil, and eventually it's like it starts with fear. You're like scared that they're not going to get better, and then it turns into like anger, and eventually it's just apathy. And so I think the fights that we have in the movie are just number 100. And so I'm just immediately quitting. It's like
that's really smart that you said that, of like it's about like the sibling relationship, right? Because you did go through the same experience, and when someone is like, I'm not 100% better, but at least I can function, like the empathy may be a little bit hard to grasp because you're so in your own space.
Yeah, you're like, I went through it. You went through the same thing. You get over it, but which is unfair, but I think it's a human thing to do.
Did you add any extra like kind of like character works, like maybe notes on your script that what your part of the story and like how you healed or are healing from that? Did you write any extras about that or anything like that?
Yeah, like I have a very similar background with a sibling, and it's years of like back and forths and constantly like going from enjoying them to just being upset that things aren't going good. Things are good now; they always do end up good, right?
Right.
So really, it just felt like it came out, and especially being the younger brother to Sarah. That's the situation I was in, and so there's that weird bit of like, I'm the younger, you know what I mean?
Like, you should take care of me.
Yeah, right. Like it does. I think it was just naturally there, and just like I said, the way it was written was like, oh, this is like fight number 250. We've already gotten the huge squabbles, and this is this is just like, I'm just anger, and I'm done with it. I'm trying to do everything I can. It's almost like going through the motions of like, I did it.
Right.
Bye. Like I did what I had to do. You're not getting over it. Goodbye. Which I think just goes to the writing.
I get that. It's always in the script.
It's always in the script. Yeah.
Speaking of like in the script, Richard, like I really like your character a lot because he's what I like to call the baby deer of the movie.
Little baby deer.
He's the baby deer of the movie. It's true. He's innocent. He's well-meaning. He's like, hey, I got you some beers. You want to smoke a little weed? Like, we're chilling, man. Like, he's like, and he sees you, and there's like this connection that you both have of like, you're going through a lot, but you have like a calming presence that, as an audience member, I'm terrified of what's going to happen to you, which is why I call you a baby deer. You need to be protected, right? Like, when you read your character on that page, like, do you feel any sense of responsibility of being like almost like the light in a film that's gonna get very, very crazy? Like, did you feel any responsibility there?
Yeah, I think when you play a character like that, like, there is a sense of like you want to give the film places to breathe, and it's not just about always having kind of this, like, there's a serious oppression that is happening within the film.
Yeah.
And so I do think I can feel that to try to bring a lightness or a humor even, and a fear that I won't, of course. I'm insecure in all kinds of ways you can't even imagine. But but yeah, and then I think for that character also, he's just excited that there's this new person. I think this small town guy, this like cute girl moves into town, and it's like, oh, this is new. Like that's a big deal for him, and so I just tried to kind of harness that energy and just feed off of Haley.
You're very charming, man. I gotta say, you almost got me with the beers. I don't even drink. I was like, I take one from this guy. Like,
what are you doing later?
Hey, pizza and beers, me and you. Let's get it. Let's get it. I was like, what a nice, sweet guy. I hope nothing happens to him. But Kels, now we gotta talk about you because, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Now, can I just say this? Like, you walk in here. You're so beautiful. And then
Are we getting that on camera?
Yeah. Look at her face. Let's zoom in the edit. Look at her face. But then you look at the movie. Let's get a side-by-side of her in the movie. Right here. Like, I saw you say, oh, hi. Oh, hi. It was like a jarring moment just meeting you and seeing that character. You really let loose. Like, you really let loose. And I always hear, like, playing the villain is so fun. Playing these type of characters, like, you're just allowed to play a little bit. Talk to me about just getting the leeway of, like, crafting this, again, tragic character, while at the same time, she constantly makes you go, get the fuck away from me. You need to go.
Yeah, I think it all started out with just finding her physicality. She's very childlike, so trying to imitate like what an 8-year-old's mannerisms are and how they get very excitable. And then in like the darker, more focused moments, John had a really great note, and he was just like, think of yourself as a grizzly bear and she's your prey. So we had to really fine tune what moments she would turn into what we call grizzly bear mode. Okay. So it was really just about balancing like the chaos with the undertone of just dread and like, you know, Sarah's my prey. Yeah. It was a blast. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I'm so grateful for John. I mean, as I'm sure you can, I get typecast as very specific characters, and I don't feel like I look, I think. There's a very mismatched.
None of us do.
I feel like a 7th grade awkward.
I'm not going to say we. All of you are a very attractive cast. Me, I'm just like, man. I just get the privilege of just talking to you guys. You know?
But I just get a lot of that, like, very one-dimensional parts coming in. You know, a lot of, like, stripper weirds. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not
Technically, you do strip in this movie a little bit. I will say that.
So if that gets you to buy a ticket to American Dollhouse, you might see a little bit more.
And the next screening is sold out.
Hey Craig, how soon can we get this clip out? Very fast.
We have a screening at Alamo Drafthouse tonight, and then again at AFS tonight and Alamo Drafthouse tomorrow, Tuesday.
Full frontal.
Get ready.
Get ready, y'all.
You're not ready.
So, yes, I've known John for years. I've known all of these people for so long. We all came from Austin, and I'm so grateful for him, and also a little weirded out that he thought that I could do this role. He wrote the script and he was like, this is you.
Me?
Yes, truly.
Now, what I want to talk about is, one, I don't want to spoil it. All I'm going to say is my favorite scene, the roof scene, from everything involved, from the moments that lead up to it, to the moment it happens, to the framing of it, the cinematography. It's one of those scenes that, again, I looked up and I was like, holy shit, what's happening right now? And I cannot wait to see the audience reaction for it. I know you guys already saw it, but I want to get into the theater so like I can enjoy it with other people. Yeah. It's weird like watching it in my bedroom, and I was literally in that room and I was just like, oh shit, like I'm sure the neighbors heard it or something. But there's a lot of really great, as in most great horror films, great timing when it comes to these jump scares and horror scenes and things like that. But there's one particular moment that I thought was like really great, and I really want to know how you guys balance this, was the running scene. Yeah. And specifically like when she runs up and then after, I feel like that's such a perfectly placed moment, like the way you come into the frame, like your reaction to it, and then as well as like watching you run away, and then the camera turns and you're just run away. Talk to me about just like the day of that scene and shooting that and getting the timing down right.
It was challenging, and you can really only do it so many times before everyone's gassed out. Right. But that was a Steadicam day. Our Steadicam operator Heather was on one of those gyros, like 2-wheel things, holding this giant Steadicam.
She was on a hoverboard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she would be going with Haley, and then then you eventually see Kelsey behind her. And that is like one of many parts of the movie where I'm trying to do these kind of touch points of other slasher films throughout history, specifically American slashers. Right. And it's kind of similar to the scene in Halloween when Laurie Strode they're driving to school and you see Michael slowly approaching behind them in the car, and like Don't Fear the Reaper's playing. So that was like her listening to music and everything. But functionally, it was difficult because we can't make Haley look like she's trying to go slow for Kelsey to be able to catch up to her. Right. But thematically, there's we kind of return to some of these shots later in the movie. Like you could kind of fold the whole movie in half and all the scenes sort of talk to each other throughout, and it's kind of this.
It kind of plays itself in the end as well too. It kind of comes back
correct, and it's like this idea of like you're trying to run away from things and turn your back and kind of disassociate, but it's always going to be there over your shoulder type of deal. But you got to, having a running scene in a slasher film is like so much fun to try to figure out how can we do our version of it and still sort of, hit that beat for the fans and the audience for horror films.
Again, it's one of those scenes that you talk to the TV at, and you see when you come into frame, immediately I was like, nope.
Yeah.
The tap, I was like, okay, crazy stuff.
Juju, I am not a runner either. He made me do so many takes of that. I have asthma and I thought I was like, I'm going so fast. I thought I was running so fast, and when I saw the final cut, I was like, I'm not going that.
You were hawking it, like you
do
were.
Do you think I was?
She's doing it.
Oh my gosh, it looked natural. I want a side by side of the cop from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs when he when he goes to flip, like put a side by side. I mean, you. That's exactly what it looked like.
That was tough.
That was the inspiration. Well, can we do like a quick rapid fire? I think we have time for this. Quick rapid fire. What's a movie that changed your brain chemistry? I gave you time to think. We'll go first since.
Josie and the Pussycats. Ooh. Listen, Backdoor Lover. Do we know? Nobody knows.
I don't know the song. No.
What?
I was with you.
Parker Posey, Alan Cumming, all of the 90s dream queens, Rosario Dawson, Reed, Rachel. That movie is insane. I rewatched it recently. Okay. It's so good.
I haven't watched it since I was like 10.
Oh my God, you've got to rewatch. It's so good. I'm
on it.
Yeah.
Rewatching Josie. I only know the cartoon when she goes, Josie and the Pussycats. I know that one. What about you, John?
For me, it was like David Lynch's Lost Highway. Definitely I know he's everybody's favorite these days, but that one really broke my brain insofar as just reminding you that you really can do anything with movies. You want to hold on to the plot and make sure that everything kind of falls into place, but then you watch a movie like that and you see something new every time, and it reminds you that it's still a pretty new art form, and there's quite a bit left to discover, I think, with it. So it's something I always try to watch before I go into production.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
You like the information there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Twice today.
Really?
Yes.
I love that movie so much. I think the acting is beautiful. I love the deconstructed love story. Loving someone can look so many ways, and I'm not a rom-com person, and I'm just tired of love stories being portrayed in that fashion. And so watching people go through being love taken away from you and realizing that they're supposed to be together, and all the weird dream states that everyone's in, it just definitely changed the game for me.
I love rom-coms. You hate rom-coms, but we love this movie.
We can meet in the middle.
We'll meet in the middle with that movie there. Amazing. One of the best scripts ever written.
Yeah, totally.
My mind went to Blue Ruin. Something you're doing that's got so much heart into it. It has a message of somebody getting the fruit of the revenge, and what feels like a very logical revenge. And then just that was done, I think, in the indie world at such a low spot, and but it's it took a belief between all those filmmakers that I think is something we all share here too. And so I don't know. It's a movie I always recommend to young filmmakers that just really left an impact on me.
They're hearing it right now.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's got to end on what dreams may come. Really? We got to end this podcast on that? That's not a good ending. It's like putting on
perfect ending.
It's like putting on Tears in Heaven at a bar. No, this is not going to work. No, I loved Robin Williams, and I was always in the acting when I was a kid, and I was always the clown, right? And and I love that age, 5th grade, when it's ooh, I like adult theme movies, and I can understand this. But just seeing Robin Williams play such a dramatic role and put in his humor into it, I think watching it being oh god, love Robin Williams. Wish he was my dad. I mean, not anymore.
I mean, everyone wishes that. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah. No, but
I mean, it would look very confusing if you were my dad. We got some questions for Mr. Williams. Rest in peace. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it just stuck with me.
But thank you so much for talking to me, guys. This has been an amazing conversation.
Appreciate you.
We're gonna get bread. Hey, Bob Odenkirk here.
And I'm Ben Wheatley. Hello.
We're here to talk about the movie Normal, opening April 17th. And we're on Get Wrecked with Straw Hat Goofy.
Look at that.
Amazing.
We're starting the montage with this.
Yeah.
With this. That was incredible. Thank you so much.
All right, man.
And welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. Welcome to South by.
Thank you.
Saw the movie yesterday. It's one of the best movies to watch with a crowd here.
Isn't it fun
It's
with a
so
group?
much fun. It's one of those movie theater communal experiences that we need. It's nice and tight. The timing is great. And we were looking at some of the kills that were happening here. And the first thing that came to mind was Final Destination. How much you guys are having fun with these type of kills that are happening. So Ben, I want to start with you. Like, is there some type of grid, some type of board on how to kill a man in the most creative way possible? And did you choose was there anything in that board that you wanted to be in the movie?
I don't think there's like a set of rules.
Okay.
You don't have to apply to a board and then kind of like negotiate with them over it or anything like that. Or there's a film police that will come and pick you up on it and go, you didn't do that. You should have done this. But and obviously I have a blueprint, which is the script, which was written by Derek Kolstad. So a lot of this stuff is from his sick mind, and I would take no responsibility for it whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's all part of the variety in the movie. You know, you don't want to keep doing the same thing again and again because you get tiredness in the audience, and they just go. First time they're like, yeah, and the second time like, yeah, and then like,
Great kills, guys.
Yeah. Well, what great one kill that you repeated 10 times. So everything, it has to either up the ante of it or kind of be imaginatively different. But it's tonal as well, so it can't be getting increasingly more grisly because again that just puts people off. So it's got, I think of it a bit like I really love Tom and Jerry and Warner Brothers cartoons and stuff, and you have that vibe, but you also have a seriousness to it as well, and it's how you oscillate between those two positions which keeps the audience on track. I think
it's all about that pacing in it that makes it that much fun.
There's something that we've talked about, you and Derek, the number of kills in the movie that are accidental.
Yeah, this is the final destination in this of it.
Oh, is that? Wait.
Some of my favorite ones, yeah.
Wait, Final Destination?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what happens in Final Destination?
Yeah. Have you
I've
not
never
watched the
seen
Final
these.
Destination movie?
Never seen them.
You fly a lot, don't you?
Oh, you're gonna have a lot.
I wouldn't watch it if you fly a lot.
Oh, true. Or if you like get on the freeway, if you drive
freeways,
on the freeway.
yeah. If you drive behind logging trucks, don't watch it either.
Logging
In
trucks,
those
it puts everyone
films,
off.
there's...
So in those films, there's the concept of death, who is personified of an unseen force.
Ah.
And he creates these Rube Goldberg-like
Yeah.
contraptions that will always culminate in it killing somebody on screen. Right, so all these kills are very elaborate, and as an audience, you're watching the like ball fall, this happened, and then boom, somebody's dead. So there was multiple moments in this movie where you see something.
We had that too.
And you have
Yeah.
that. And I think that's.
And
really,
we have fighting and
of
regular shooting of
you have
people.
all manners of
all the
offing
flavors
someone.
of action.
We have all the tried and true, old school kills, but also these surprising, inventive. Wait, I didn't see that coming.
And those are so much fun to have.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like Bob, you are in a whole new era of your career. You're in this action bag right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can take your movies Nobody and now Normal, and you can have these really fun double features. The Nobody Normal feature. Or
Nobody.
The Normal Nobody feature. Right? And I really like this era that you find yourself
With
in.
Norbit.
Norbit. Yeah.
Nobody normal and Norbit.
Oh, see, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, like, I want you to talk to me a little bit about enjoying it, because when I talked to you last time, you are very, like, passionate about it and in the weeds, and you really want these to be entertaining.
Yeah.
What is this bug that's caught you?
I love it. I discovered I love it. I was curious about it, surprised to find a way in to action films. I spent so much of my life as a comedy writer, and I was very surprised when I was doing the bus fight in Nobody. So that was 2.5 years of training and preparation, and now we're finally making the movie. And of course, there's a lot of sweat and uncertainty, but I knew I'd gotten some confidence in doing it. And then there we are, shooting on a bus all night and having the greatest time. Stunt actors, they're pros. That's what they do. They go from movie to movie, many of them. They're in a lot of your favorite movies, the same guys. and girls.
Probably with masks on, to be fair.
Yeah, oftentimes they have a mask.
Anonymity.
But it is the same group. There's a small world of these actors, and they're great. And I loved working with them. And I had a laugh working with them. And I remember thinking, this is like being in a comedy writer's room. It's the closest to when I was doing Mr. Show or Saturday Night Live. As there was nothing in between, that was as much like that, and I loved that vibe. Group of people, and you're in a set, and things change, and you have to make choices, and you laugh, and you have ideas, and somebody goes, "Do this, try this," and so I was delighted by that aspect of it, as well as the way in which a fight is kind of like a comedy sketch. It's like 5 minutes long, 3 to 5 minutes long, and if you do it right, it has like a journey to it, right? And so I just felt this connection to the actual thing at the very end of the long process of preparation that I was very surprised by, and I continue to see it that way. I love doing the fighting. In normal, there's a lot of fighting, and there's a lot of weaponry and stuff, but for me, the most fun is the hardware store and the kitchen fight at the end.
That kitchen fight is brutal. And
it's a good one.
Nice confined space, like the action. Like I like the way the camera shakes on certain impacts and everything, and it makes me like rack my brain whenever I'm watching it. Very effective.
You know, like in the Mission Impossible movies, and they build out these sets, and they're every surface is rubberized. So but we didn't do that.
Really?
No, that's
so
just
you're really banging your head.
It's a real kitchen.
It's a real kitchen.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
Now, when I don't want to give away the movie.
Yeah, no, let people be surprised.
We did some things to make certain things safe. When I kicked it.
You didn't actually kill anybody.
No.
Thank God. I thought there was going to be a confession for a second.
Yeah. This is why it's so real. We took it one step further and
we just went ahead and
went into a town, destroyed it.
Full measure. Something that I love that you're talking about, kind of like, it's like a comedy show. It's like a sketch. Because you layer in those comedy beats. There's a lot of character things that inform your character while it's happening. What I love about this movie is the town of Normal, the people.
Yeah,
right?
they're funny.
They're not just your typical villains, bad guys. You can tell they have regular jobs, and they're like, we don't know what's going on. We're just trying to do our best as the Yakuza is around here, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about like finding the right cast to fill out the town of Normal, and who was like someone on set that you just loved working with out of that cast?
Yeah, I mean, it was important that you liked them, and that they were three-dimensional and they were alive, but they weren't being mocked by the filmmakers, and I think that that type of empathy, and the empathy that comes from Ulysses, Bob's character in it, towards them as well. He's worried for them when he's having to fight for his life, but he still is not happy about what's happening. And it was that managing of that tone all the way through, so he doesn't become some kind of murderous action wraith who's just going through destroying everybody.
Yeah.
The actors are mostly Canadian. Henry Winkler's not. Lena Headey's not. And I'm not. But the town is people we shot in Winnipeg, Canada. And we got wonderful actors, Jess McLeod, Billy McClellan, just so many wonderful people. Many of them from the comedy scenes of Vancouver and Toronto.
That explains a lot.